हाई कोर्ट के फैसले ने यह साबित किया है कि इंडिया के तमाम प्रोपेगेंडे झूठ पर मबनी है। मैं अल्लाह के फजल व करम से कश्मीर का केस लड़ रहा हूं और इंशाअल्लाह हमने ये लड़ना है।
Nine years after Pakistani terrorists launched an outrageous attack in Mumbai, the mastermind behind that attack has become a free man in Pakistan. Hafiz Saeed has been let off by a court in Lahore almost 300 days after he was put into house arrest. This man, who has a bounty from the US of $10 million, is now threatening the former Prime Minister, the Pakistani system itself, the government, and claiming that he will fight again for what he calls the freedom of the Kashmiri people. The terrorist attacks have actually led to a nose-diving of the relations between India and Pakistan. And Reza, is there any way that relationship, the dialogue that we once had with Pakistan, is going to be revived?
Reviving the dialogue with Pakistan depends on several factors. There are all sorts of issues involved in it. The Kashmir issue is involved. There are numerous other irritants in the bilateral relations. Terrorism is another. But you must remember that one of the things that actually held up dialogue over the past 9 years is the Mumbai attacks. There are people across India feel that there hasn't been closure on this issue, and it will be very, very difficult to get the two sides back on the negotiating table till this issue is handled in some way by Pakistan. There has been virtually no movement forward in the prosecution of the people who were involved in the attacks. The conspiracy we know was hatched on Pakistani soil. So as things stand right now, it's going to be very difficult to, perceive a situation, even a few months down the road where we have India and Pakistan sitting across the table and talking again.
To be fair, it was not Pakistani government itself which wanted the release of Hafiz Saeed from house arrest. In fact, Pakistani government argued that he could be a nuisance to public order and it could have financial implications, diplomatic implications for Pakistan. But do you think that the larger system, some kind of a coalition of sorts between the courts, the intelligence agencies and the armed forces in Pakistan is at play in the eventual release of Hafiz Saeed?
There is, I think, since the 26/11 attacks, a preponderance of evidence that links the Jamaat-ud-Dawa, the Lashkar-e-Toiba and its other organizations to the attacks in Mumbai. And this evidence, even if Pakistan hasn't been able to gather it, it has been shared with Pakistan by both US and India. So it is one thing to stand up in the court and argue that freeing this man could have implications for Pakistan, and it's quite another thing to not back up that argument with this evidence. Clearly the court, this panel that freed Hafiz Saeed, they said that the government hadn't been able to produce evidence. So that sounds a little, for me it's a bit of an anomaly. The Pakistani government has this evidence. Why wasn't this presented? And why wasn't the case made more forceful? This is a man who almost every month when he was free made some sort of threats against India. It's easy to just say that, look, he's just making threats, this is rhetoric. But these are serious threats. He has even admitted during speaking in public that people affiliated to his organization have carried out attacks in Kashmir. So somewhere the judicial system should have drawn a line.
And the fact is that Hafiz Saeed is a proscribed terrorist, global terrorist by the United Nations as well as the United States, which, as I said, has got a bounty of $10 million on him. United States has in fact asked for the re-arrest of Hafiz Saeed. But do you think that Pakistan now understands the relationship between US and Pakistan is not going to be business as usual, and therefore it doesn't have to work according to what the United States says?
Well, a couple of factors, I remember the day when the Americans had issued this bounty for Hafiz Saeed. And the next day, he chose to hold a press conference to mock that bounty. And the best thing about that press conference was the venue. He addressed this press conference just a short distance from the Pakistan Army headquarters in Rawalpindi. So that kind of gives you an impression of how seriously he took this bounty. But at the same time, when you say that it's not going to be business as usual between the US and Pakistan, I think the goalposts, again, the Americans have already moved them. Initially, we heard that, the US wanted Pakistan to crack down on all terror groups, including the ones opposed to India. But now we are seeing that the ones opposed to India don't really matter that much. It's more the groups that are active in Afghanistan, the Haqqani network, the Taliban. That's what the US is focusing on. Suddenly, there's been no talk from the US side about groups such as Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. So it seems that that's kind of been put on the back burner, and now Afghanistan is the more crucial area for them. So once again, I think India will have to fight its battles by itself.
Fighting India's battles also brings to the fore the question of two terrorists, Maulana Masood Azhar and Hafiz Saeed, whom India wants proscribed, India wants arrested and punished. But in both cases, India is appearing to be losing the diplomatic battle also to get the kind of punishment that they should get.
Well, yes and no. India has made remarkable strides in the sense that now there is virtually no country in the world that doesn't agree with India that the Lashkar-e-Toiba is a potent force that has been able to carry out terror attacks almost at will, and it's a group that needs to be clamped down on. Also, let's not forget that the move to try and proscribe or to designate Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar was backed by France, the US and UK. So there is some sort of consensus that these people need to be taken care of. But once again, we haven't been able to get this properly done. I mean, Hafiz Saeed, yes, there has been a lot of hue and cry about him around the world, but he's still a free man.
166 people, including Indians, Americans and Israelis, had died in the 26/11 attacks. If countries take selective approach to terrorism, whether it is United States or India or China or any other country, the fight against this malaise is not going to be won. The release of Hafiz Saeed brings to us not only the question of closure to the victims, but also the larger question of, are we all on the same side in the war against terror? Thanks for watching.